But the rumor right now is that we are going to do that. And if you're not going to do it now, when are you going to do it? This is, if you're going into Christmas, and I'm pretty sure this is Arsenal's best start after 14 games ever. Simon the Bordeaux here. Thank you very much for joining me as always. And that's right. Today we're talking about Arsenal Football Club. Now, for my regular subscribers, it's not all of a sudden going to become a football channel. But given that my YouTube revenue has been absolutely slaughtered, again, we've already done videos on it, I thought I'd try to diversify my portfolio. And I used to work for Arsenal Football Club doing the post, pre and mid-match analysis, whatever you want to call it. And I miss doing it. So I thought, well, given right now that Arsenal are top of the league and somehow 5 points clear as we go into the World Cup, every time they have a game, I'll sit down, I'll do a reaction video to it, because why the hell not? Now, we start with what I just said. I have been an Arsenal fan since I was around about, I don't know, probably 12, 13 years old. It was Ian Wright that got me into it. I thought Ian Wright was the greatest person ever. I was like, this is the best. And that was it. I became an Arsenal fan because of that. And you can say, Simon, where were you born? I was born in Luton. I do still follow Luton. My dad is a massive Luton fan. Obviously, Nathan Jones just went bye and he left Luton to go to Southampton. But look, we'd all do that. They're probably paying him millions of pounds, so I totally do get it. But yes, everyone sometimes gets so mad about, oh, you can't support that club because you weren't born there. Well, if you watch my wrestling content, I approach football in very much the same way, which is I just want to enjoy it. And when Arsenal lose, I'm a little bit annoyed, but then I'm like, well, there's other things to worry about in life. That doesn't mean you can't get into the nitty-gritty, and that doesn't mean that you can't talk about it, because, of course, yesterday, Manchester City lost to Brentford 2-1. I think Ivan Toney scored in like the 98th minute. He got both goals as well, so clearly he was like, listen, Southgate, not taking me to England, I'll whoop your ass. And going to Wolves is not the hardest game at the moment. Going to Molineux is not that difficult, just because they're managerless, they can't score goals, and they're bottom of the league. So straight away, they're going in there saying, well, we have no path at the moment. We don't know if the Sevilla manager may be coming in. Lopetegui, I can't remember his name, but he may be coming in, but I don't think he's there yet. So it's never going to be a difficult place to go. However, when you take everything else around the situation and you paste it on top, I thought it was actually quite tricky, because in the past, Arsenal would have gone and they would have drawn, or, amazingly they would have lost. I think he's suspended at the moment, but Costa somehow would have got a hat-trick against us. Now, that didn't happen. We went there. From what I can see, because I've only seen the highlights right now, but from what I can see, it was a pretty damn solid performance. Again, Odegaard got both goals. First one he kind of took by himself. Second one, Martinelli was doing his usual stuff, which is just go, go, go. Gabriel Jesus, as ever, is just working. I don't think Gabriel Jesus has scored in 6-7 games now. I should read it. Next time I'll make sure I write all this stuff down so we can talk about it. But it's been longer than most strikers would be able to get away with. But I tell you, without wanting to sound like the most stereotypical pundit there is, like I know what I'm talking about, it's his work rate for the team, and he makes everybody else better. Like, he's made Martinelli better, and he's made Saka better. And because Odegaard will just be here, there, and everywhere, covering up as much space as possibly, much like Xhaka and Partey. I mean, granted, Xhaka, man, the turnaround with him, we all remember when he threw the armband on the floor and everybody was giving him grief. That was a bad situation all round. And I didn't really take a side on it, because I don't really know what it's so difficult when it's like a crime of passion to call it that. But even I was like, he probably has to go just because it's not going to work with the club. But given the way that Arteta has come in and sets up the team and what you need in the middle of the field, he is so damn good. He's playing a different role than he did when under Emery and maybe under Arteta when he first came in. I think he's given a bit more freedom to run around because Partey will hold back, and he can get himself into more, I guess, useful positions. But because of that, everybody else in that front line gets better. Again, Odegaard, Jesus running here, there, and everywhere. Saka is just, man, we should give him £500,000 a week. I think money is crazy in football. We'll do a video about that massively. But talking about what the current budgetary levels are in football, you just need to sign that guy up forever, because he's so damn good. And I remember I saw Martinelli when I used to work for the Arsenal TV, which is sort of 4 or 5 years ago. Basically, when he was first coming through, I think he first came through under Wenger. I'm pretty sure he had some matches under Wenger. Anyway, when that was happening, I remember looking at him going, well, if he does flourish into the player that he certainly seems like he can be, he's going to be absolutely awesome. And that seems to be the case. And it comes, I know when you're talking about the backline, people always say that Gabriel has a mistake in him. And I do think that's true. But given that you have Saliba next to him, I still think I think it's about partnerships. Like, if you go way back in time, you can talk about Adams and Keown, or Adams and Bold, or, Winterburn and Dixon, etc., etc. And then Ashley Cole comes in. But I mean, you could probably argue that overall they were better defenders. But if you go with Tony Adams and Steve Bold was great. And he was just an old school kind of defender. But I would argue that Tony Adams was a better player and therefore he made Steve Bold better because they were playing together. I think defenses are about partnerships, which is the same with Saliba and Gabriel. Saliba, I do think sort of naturally is more talented. But at the moment, I wouldn't want to put anybody else in there because I just think it works. And you've got Ramsdale in goal, who's doing a great job, and you've got Ben White, who's moving over to the right, who's doing a great job. Now, we kind of gone through the whole squad there, and sure, if there is any kind of injury crisis, you then have to start saying, well, who can come in? But Vieira played yesterday, and again, I'm pretty sure he set up the first goal for Odegaard, and he's looked really, really good. I think he's probably going to take a season to settle in, that old cliche, but it's true. And admittedly, we probably need to go out in January and buy a couple of extra players. But the rumour right now is that we are going to do that. And if you're not going to do it now, when are you going to do it? This is, if you're going into Christmas, and I'm pretty sure this is Arsenal's best start after 14 games ever. Is it 14 games? I think it's 14 games. But the best start they've ever had after 14 games. So it goes to show that we have done, quote unquote, less good, we'll go with, in the past, and we've still gone on to win the league. Now, let's not pretend that Manchester City aren't a great squad, a great team. They're amazing. Over the last 5 years, probably the best team in the world. I know they can't do it in the Champions League, but I actually think, if I'm going with my gut feeling, I think they're going to win the Champions League, and Arsenal should win the Premier League. I still have this tiny bit of doubt deep down in my tum-tum, just because in the past, they would have capitulated, and you still can. Let's not forget we have a World Cup. We don't know who's going to get injured in that. Again, James Maddison, he got taken off yesterday. Turns out he's going to be okay, but I think there's going to be a lot of injuries to the World Cup. So when we come back to take on West Ham on Boxing Day, I believe is the first game after the World Cup, which on paper seems easy, because again, West Ham aren't in good form. They lost 2-0 to somebody yesterday. Leicester, I think it was. I think it was Leicester yesterday. But after the rest, I don't know how many players from West Ham's team are going to the World Cup. They may be well rested. David Moyes is a very good manager. And even though it's at the Emirates, I think that that's a tough game. But you get through that, then you play Brighton away. Tough game, right? I don't know the name of the new manager, but all he's done is taken Graham Potter's template and copy and paste it, which is really, really smart. But you get through those two, and you keep that 5-point advantage up. So I don't think Manchester City's going to lose a lot after the World Cup. And then I believe it's Newcastle at the Emirates. Now, after Newcastle at Emirates, it's also Spurs at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, whatever the hell they call it. Those two games, to me, I think are massively crucial because Newcastle pretty much took apart Chelsea yesterday. Joe Willock scored. That ties in, obviously came from Arsenal. And even if you take 4 points away from those two games, I think it's massive. Because I'm not saying that Newcastle are challenging for the league, but I think they're challenging for top 4. And I think right now they're in such good form. Again, if they come out the other side of the World Cup and they still have pretty much their squad intact, it's probably, if someone said to me right now, put a gun to my head, I probably would go Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle and Tottenham as the top 4 based on current form. Again, it's the Premier League, you never know. But you do that, then I think we play Manchester United, and then I think it's Everton away at Goodison Park. I think that's correct. So if you take those 6 games, don't forget Arsenal got 1 loss this year. Who did they lose to? Manchester United. So when they come to the Emirates, you have to win that game. You just do. I don't think you can lose to a top 6 team twice and still win the league. I think it'll be tough. I mean, it happens to Man City a lot, but I still think it's tough. But that's why when it comes to these games, like an Everton, again, they could be in a relegation fight by then. Maybe Lampard's gone. You just don't know. But those 6 games to me are going to define the entire season. Because if you come out and you can get through all of them without even taking a loss, let's say you just take 1 loss, you only drop 3 points. I mean, it depends how many you draw as well. But Arsenal, they usually either win. They're not overdoing the draws. It's all there. And football is a crazy thing because now if they don't win the league, we'll all be disappointed if you're an Arsenal fan, which is kind of ridiculous because before the season, if you had said, oh, you can finish second, you'd be like, yes, I'll take that right away. So I think when it comes down to it, if we can push Manchester City, if we finish sort of 1-2 points within them and we still finish second, I'll be devastated. Not devastated, but I'll be gutted. But I still think, wow, let's build on this. And if we can use the momentum now we have to bring in a couple of proper star players in January to build that squad, and we finish second, and then other players start looking at us who are back in the Champions League, and I want to join there too. So it's not just going to be, I want to go to Manchester City, Liverpool, Manchester United still get thrown in there, Barcelona, Real Madrid. If all of a sudden there's another option, because you know that Arsenal are a club with pedigree who are going back into the Champions League, it could be all there, right? But still, we should win the league. There's no 2 ways about it. And that's why I thought yesterday's performance was very professional, very, very good. And I'm excited to see where it goes. I mean, if nothing else, football is meant to be fun. Football is meant to be entertaining. And right now, I'm having fun. And I'm being massively entertained. So we now move into the World Cup. I may do a few videos for these, like for the World Cup for England. I do like international football. But, this World Cup is so ridiculous it's kind of hard to look forward to it, but we'll take it as it goes. But mainly, hopefully on a Sunday morning, we can just throw one of these videos up and we'll see how it does. All of my plugs are now going to be weird because they're fitness plugs. But again, if you are into fitness and you want some supplements, grillermind.com/Simon, because Simon get 10% off. These are the supplements I use. They're very, very good and I trust them. Derek is a good guy. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Simon316. If you want a fitness Palace of Love t-shirt, make sure you click the link in the description below. Very proud of them. Very nice t-shirts. Thanks to Samson Athletics for teaming with me on them on Cameo. If you want to shout out, we can talk about football now. Why not throw that in there? Patreon.com/Simon316 if you want to support me that way. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that kind of stuff. Now, also, I probably should say at the start of the video, but who cares? So many people go, man, I can't believe you're an Arsenal fan. I hate you now. Tribalism in football, I totally understand. But you ain't ever going to get that from me. You're just not. So this is probably why this video is not going to get any views. Because people want it all like, I can't believe it. But ultimately, I have enough problems in my real life to have to worry about football too. So that's it. Let's see how this does. You take care. Enjoy the World Cup. See you soon.